Ding. Testing on them. And welcome to the Ace Capone Show. I am your host, Ace Capone. Before we get started, if you would hit the bell, subscribe, share, like, comment. If you want to, you can also contribute to the channel if you like it. Down below is my PayPal and my Cash App. But other than that, let's get on with it. As the title states, or says, or reads, there are a lot of people who are jumping on this Trump train. They are people who want to jump on the coattails of Trump because he's popular, despite what the fake media says. They're polling him every day, trying to say he's losing support every single day. They didn't do that to Joe Biden or anyone else. They didn't do it to Obama. Yeah, they have to keep trying to brainwash. And Democrats are like bad kids. You're popular, but they run around to all the other kids like, do you really like that person? Do you really like that person? I don't like that person, but do you really like that person? And that's the media. They want to find someone who doesn't like Donald Trump so they can put them in front of the camera and tell their little story. Even if they don't even support Donald Trump, they want someone out there to smash Donald Trump and say, oh, look, here's a conservative. But everyone's not a conservative. You have a lot of coattail riders. And these people are claiming to be conservative, but they're not. And a lot of times you get Democrats who pretend to be conservatives, but they're Democrats. And you can tell a Democrat by what they advocate. And, before I get deep into it, it's right now you have a bunch of people, not even a year into the presidency, who are jumping ship or who act as if they want the Democrats to win. Case in point, Tim Pool. I like listening to Tim Pool. I like listening to what he has to say. I like listening to Alex Jones. I can only take so much of it because they get a little bit irritating. It's just my opinion. Some people may love Tim Pool. But the thing that really turned me off of Tim Pool was the fact that I was listening to the conversation between Tim Pool and Alex Jones the other day. And instead of talking about the future of the Republican Party after Trump, because we have to think about those things. What's going to happen to the Republican Party after Trump? Trump would have to have some type of hand in the party if the Republican Party is going to survive. Because without Trump, there is no Republican Party. This is why they attack MAGA, whatever it is, so harshly. This is why they attack anyone who is a Trump supporter so harshly. And, words matter. They'll call you a Trump follower, a Trump supporter. They will call you a MAGA member. And they choose those words on purpose because they are trying to equate you to a cult. Just like if you said a Democrat follower, because basically you have to be a cult member to be a Democrat. You have to dumb yourself down to be a Democrat. You can be a Trump supporter. It just means that you believe in American values. To be a Trump supporter means that, hey, you know what? I want America to be successful. That's what a Trump supporter actually means. Because someone said, hey, you know what? I'm not with the swamp. I'm not about, getting money for myself. I want to see America grow and grow back into its dominant self. That's what it is to be a Trump supporter. You're saying, hey, I agree with that guy, and I want to see America that way as well. Now, if you're just a fringe guy, oh, he says something that hurts someone's feelings. Well, you're too soft to be a Trump supporter. Because to make things happen, if you like your food, you don't go into the kitchen and go, hey, let me see how you made that. Because you may not like what you see when you go back there. And if you like sausage or hot dogs, you don't go to the factory to find out what they're doing to make it. Because the workings may disappoint you or upset you and turn you totally off. To be a Trump supporter, you have to have thick skin because he's going to say the things that many people want to say. But if you're a liberal at heart and you've been feminized, well, you're going to be offended, buddy. And no one cares about your feelings. We care about facts. If someone is incompetent, we're going to call them incompetent. If someone isn't qualified for certain things, we're going to say, hey, that guy's not qualified. And you can't say, oh my God, since you criticized me, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a fake anti-Semitism, whatever that word means, that they just made up. But whatever it is, they want to label you because, hey, I can't attack the truth. Let me attack the messenger. And this is what they do with Donald Trump. They attack the messenger because they can't attack the truth. The government wastes a lot of money. The government has let the country slip into oblivion. It has to come back. People are taking advantage of America. People are invading and infiltrating America. And you have a man that says, I want to turn that around. And people are saying, yeah, I see it too. I want it turned around as well. Let's do it together. And they're, oh my God, it's those MAGA people. They're upsetting the apple cart. But we don't care what those Democrats and those fake conservatives say. But people like Tim Pool are out here basically saying Trump is not doing a great job. Trump is doing a tremendous job compared to all those who came before him. And he's being successful. But to hear Alex Jones and Tim Pool talk about Trump as if, oh my God, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Well, that's fine. You can criticize Trump, but it has to be legitimate. If you're going to criticize Trump, at least say, hey, you know what? I appreciate what he's doing right now, but I wish he would do some of this. Not, oh my God, his presidency has been a failure. Oh my God, the immigrations, he's not deporting all the people. You sound like CNN, Tim Pool and Alex Jones. You sound like MSNBC. You want to put your hands before your eyes and then say, oh, I don't see anything he's done. I'm sorry, you're not a conservative. Maybe he doesn't call himself a conservative. Maybe he's one of those fake neutral people. Because you have people who pretend to be neutral so they can get, viewers and subscribers. You can be like Joe Rogan, who does support Trump. You have to say, hey, you have to come to reality and say, hey, you know what? That guy's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. So I'm going to throw my support behind him. But people like Tim Pool and Alex Jones, they're bashing Trump like he's about to leave office tomorrow. It's true what they said. The Republicans have to win the House and the Senate back because if the Democrats get the House, Trump is getting impeached. And they're going to try to put people in jail because Democrats love breaking the law and they have mastered it. And they love to spin the truth and they have a news media behind them that can push any narrative they want. So if I were Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and people in MAGA, I'd be out canvassing for the midterms because you can't lose the House because they're going to shut you down. And I have a problem with this administration because if you were all true conservatives and you wanted the best for America, you'd pass legislation. They've passed no legislation. that will benefit America long term. For example, if you wanted to stop immigration, illegal immigration, you'd make it a felony, and you'd make the penalty 5-year minimum in jail. And instead of keeping them in our jail, you find a jail somewhere down south that would hold them, and we'd pay them. So, their money's a lot cheaper than ours. Excuse me. But we'd pay them to keep these people. And knowing that you're going to be extradited somewhere else and be jailed, you take the incentive away from people coming here. And you take the argument away from the Democrats by claiming that it was just a misdemeanor, so it really doesn't matter. So basically, the Democrats are saying they advocate for crime, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. They just don't care about the law. They expose themselves, but people in the Republican Party aren't out there jumping on that, saying, hey, you know what? Democrats don't care about justice or the law. They're advocating for even misdemeanors to happen in this country, which lets you know why communities run by Democrats are crime-ridden, because they don't uphold the law. And why is it that you don't have Republicans out banging the drum for law enforcement? January 6th occurred, even though it was FBI agents, over 300 FBI agents in the crowd, Antifa and Black Lives Matter in the crowd. The media didn't report that at all, but we know those things to be true due to the hearings. But they were touting, oh my God, the Capitol Police, they're our heroes. The people were attacking the police. But you're attacking police in every state. You're out here throwing bottles and attacking ICE members. You're out here doxing people involved in ICE. So where's the media saying, hey, you know what? We need to respect and support our law enforcement. They did for January 6th. Even though these are the people who were silent when Antifa and Black Lives Matter were throwing bottles and frozen bottles and rocks and bricks at the Capitol Police when they surrounded the White House to keep Antifa and Black Lives Matter out. They have a very short memory, just as many Americans do. Americans have very short memories. This is why Democrats can sit in your face right now and say, you know what? In 2026, we're going to come out and say we're going to do something for the economy. You just had 4 years of destruction, but all of a sudden you can have someone change their tune. This is sort of like Kamala. Well, I don't believe in open borders anymore. When did you change? Now, how do you get the opportunity to just say, oh, I don't believe that anymore? So vote for me. And a lot of dummies voted for her because they're about as dumb as she is. But back to Tim Pool and Alex Jones. They were talking as if Donald Trump was leaving the White House next week as a failure. Oh my God, he's done nothing. And what are we going to do next? And I don't like J.D. Vance. It's like, well, are you a conservative? Who do you like? Everyone else you're going to name is going to be a bought and paid for person who's going to be manipulated by the donors. And that includes J.D. Vance. I understand J.D. Vance talks big, but J.D. Vance is going to need funding. And as a conservative, you have to squint your eye and say, well, how conservative is he if he's going to be bought and paid for? If you get a Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance ticket, or a Byron Donalds J.D. Vance ticket, both of those tickets are winning tickets. Because Byron Donalds is going to bring over some black people. Marco Rubio is going to bring over the Spanish-speaking ticket. And then you have J.D. Vance, who's going to probably bring over the MAGA crowd. So that's a winning combination either way you look at it. But they're going to need some money. They're going to need funding. And the people that fund you are the people that pull the strings. And we have to be realistic in this world now. Our politicians are bought and paid for. We don't elect them. People pay for them. So no matter how conservative you say you are, you have to come to that realization. Someone's paying their bills. This is why we need to get money out of politics. Politicians need to be pure to the way of representing the people that put them in office, who aren't billionaires, the people who aren't part of corporations, the people that they live around. And politicians should live around the people they represent. You shouldn't live in Washington. But you have these guys basically throwing Trump under the bus, attacking Candace Owens, pretty much dismissing Charlie Kirk. And they're sitting here having this conversation. I'm like, wait. Like, who are these guys for? Do they know what the opposite is? Did they not understand that you had Joe Biden with a cabinet that did not do their job? You had a border czar that never went to the border. You had Mayorkas who never went after people unless they were conservatives. You had a border that was wide open and they pretended that it was secure and they couldn't tell you how many people were entering the country. You had criminals who were just getting away with it because they weren't going after them. This was a dysfunctional country under Joe Biden because you had a brain dead man at the helm who wasn't doing his job. You had a vice president who didn't even know what her job was, nor where she was. And you had people in the cabinet who basically didn't know what to do and didn't do what they were supposed to do. Buttigieg did nothing but give interviews. A bunch of incompetent people. But now you have people with all of this, vision, all these criticisms for Donald Trump and his cabinet. And they're doing their job. The FBI is arresting people. They're out there doing their job. They're stopping attacks that are being planned on this country. They're rounding people up. But they're getting criticism for doing their job. You have ICE deporting people. They're getting criticized for upholding the law. So this country's been turned on its head, and people who call themselves conservative are joining in on the party. And I have to say, I don't trust Tim Pool. I don't trust Alex Jones. You can have criticism, yes, you may. But the simple fact of the matter is, you have to if you're going to criticize someone, you better say, hey, you know what? I know what the alternative is, so I can't be too hard on this guy right here because he's doing what he's able to do, but he's also fighting an uphill battle against his own party. And if you're not going to tell the facts, you know what? Then why are you talking? Trump is fighting an uphill battle against these neocons that are still in the party. You have people that side with the Democrats. Those aren't conservatives. A conservative would never side with Democrats because they also understand what the Democrat agenda is. So why would you side with Democrats? They don't love the Constitution. They're trying to break the Constitution. They don't love God. They advocate against God. So why are you talking to these people? And you can't be a conservative saying you are promoting or supporting gays. That's not conservatism. That's liberalism. Legalizing marijuana and other drugs. That's not conservatism. That's someone talking about making money. That's liberalism. If you're out here saying, oh, we should feel sorry for the illegals, no, that's not conservatism. Conservatism says we have to take care of home first before we can do anything for anyone else. Before we let illegals in our country, we better make sure Americans are standing up and working hard and doing for self and supporting themselves to strengthen this country. Because when Americans are working, the country is stronger, which means we need to bring in jobs. We need to bring in investments in this country, which is what Trump is doing through tariffs. But they're attacking the tariffs because they don't want manufacturing to come back, because you have a lot of politicians with vested interest in China. So how is this helping us? How are they working for Americans? How are they MAGA? And I ask the question again, once Trump is gone, who's going to be MAGA? There are no MAGA Republicans in Congress. They're all gone. Mitch McConnell did not fund those candidates. So they lost badly. They didn't have the funds to run a campaign. But the Democrats funded their socialists and communists. And if Congress was about the business of America, they would outlaw communism. They would outlaw sanctuary cities and make punishment so harsh that people who were advocating for those things would be kicked out of office. You wouldn't have an AOC. You wouldn't have a Bernie Sanders, because the country would say, we don't tolerate that type of advocacy in our country. But they do nothing about those people because they are all for it. They love the chaos. They love the wasteful spending. If you say, hey, you know what? If you're advocating for sanctuary cities and we catch you and we can prove it, you are no longer able to hold office because you are a threat to our society. If you're for open borders, you will be kicked out because you are a threat to our society. Anything that compromises the safety and the jobs and security of the American people is grounds to kick you out. So why are we tolerating such things? Anything that says, hey, let's shore up the safety of America is what those politicians should be about. And we should have term limits, because once you stay in there so long, people know, hey, I'm not going anywhere. That's when the money comes in and you're not doing the bidding of the American people. Look at Ted Cruz. Look at Mitch McConnell. These guys are all bought and paid for. You know it. They know it. No one's doing anything about it. But the fact that you have people calling themselves conservatives, but they're not, there needs to be standards in which the people can say, hey, that person checks off all the boxes. They have a record of conservatism. They live a conservative lifestyle. They are promoting conservative legislation. You know, they're living a life that says, hey, this is what conservatism is, and this is what it produces. Then anyone can call themselves a conservative. We don't have a standard or a litmus test. All you have to do, because we've caught lots of Democrats running as Republicans, because anyone can be a Republican, but not all Republicans are conservatives. But we have to have standards and say, hey, man, how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about, mutilating children? How do you feel about open borders? How do you feel about trade? What do you feel? How do you think? And what do you think about drilling? What do you think about all these regulations and taxes? If you're saying, hey, I think taxes are okay, or hey, I think taxes should be outlawed, and basically the government should go get its own money through trade, then I'm for you. If you say a flat tax, I could probably entertain you. But if you're talking about changing the tax codes and taking more money from American people, I have to turn my ears off to you. When Trump is saying he wants to get rid of federal income tax, I wish he would. But does he have the support of Congress, these fake Republicans, to do it? Probably not. And I'm tired of these guys, doing executive orders for taxes. And then all of a sudden you go, well, we have to vote you back in office to get it permanent. Why don't you just make it permanent now? Stop playing with us. We don't need the carrot. My thing is, if you are conservative and you're getting rid of taxes, shoring up the border, making sure you have strict immigration laws, that if you're hiring illegals and you lose your business or your business gets fined, and the second or third time we shut you down forever and give you jail time, I know you're serious. Then I say, hey, that guy is really interested in America growing and being better, because you have to have a large portion of your population working and being contributors to your society. You can't have people on welfare in your country saying, oh, we're great. You'll turn into Canada, a lackluster country with a bunch of people who have no motivation. Canada can't fight a war. They're too sleepy. They're too passive. They don't want to do anything. I don't have any faith in them. I don't want to live in Canada, nor do I want America to be Canada. But Joe Biden was paying people to stay home. And people were upset because you took the money away from them. Oh, you put a work requirement on welfare. It should be permanent. Congress should have been all over it saying, hey, you have to work. And you have people crying about it. And the Democrats, they're going to come back and say, hey, you know what? We're going to give you back your benefits because we know starving children and women really need that. They're going to come with the emotional argument because one thing about the Republican Party, they do not sell their agenda. They don't explain what they're doing. They don't understand they don't explain the benefits of the people, of their policies to the people to say, hey, you know what? You will win. You know, you may hurt a little bit, you know, initially, but long term, this is how you are going to win. And it would destroy the Democrats' talking points and the fake news, you know, basically trying to attack you because you'll explain it yourself. But they do a crappy job of that. So to be a conservative, you have to advocate for the Constitution and what the founding fathers intended. If you're not pushing the Constitution and saying, hey, you know what? I like those things like welfare, Social Security, you know, I like for, you know, people to be able to have options with having children or not. No, the founding fathers didn't address any of those things because they didn't matter. They weren't important. So why is the government involved in those things? If you want to terminate your pregnancy, well, you know, you have to go somewhere that allows that. We just don't do that here. You know, maybe we'll have a spot way up in the north in a corner somewhere that if you're irresponsible and you want to terminate a child, you go ahead and go all the way up there because it's really that important to you. Or you can be responsible and stop sleeping around with all the men that want you. No, people are yelling, saying, well, oh, what about the men? Well, the men do what they do. I'm sorry. If you're the person that can get pregnant, why are you out there giving it away? And then blaming others because, you know, if you walked around with $100 suit on, and you had $100 bills all over you, and you went into you walked on Skid Row, and you thought, well, I hope nobody takes any of my money off my suit. Who's the fool? And if someone takes a $100 bill off your suit, oh my God, I can't believe they did. Yes, you do, because you knew where you were and you put yourself in that situation. Responsibility needs to come back. I'm tired of people running out, doing things, and then they want to blame others. No, you have a part. You have a big part because you're the one that's going to be infected and affected. You're the one that's going to get pregnant. You're the one that's going to have to carry that child. You're the one that's going to have to sit there and say, I have to take care of this child. But you have irresponsible government that says, if you get pregnant, we're going to blame that man. And if you get pregnant and want to have that child, we're going to go after that man. Even though that man may not want that child, we're going to go after that man because he's a bad man. And we're going to give you some money to keep you on welfare. And we're going to take care of you, give your kid some WIC. And the government is promoting irresponsible behavior. They need to get out of it. Get rid of WIC. Get rid of, all this and reform the child support laws that says, hey, you can't take a man's money because you're irresponsible. And if he doesn't want to have the baby and you want to have it, it's on you. You take that responsibility. And I know women would say then, oh, let me be a little more picky with who I lay down with, because if he's not going to be with me, I'm not taking that chance. If he doesn't want a baby, I don't want to take that chance. That means you're going to have to talk to men and find out what they're about instead of saying, oh, he's so cute, let me just let him have his way. Conservatism means responsibility. Conservatism means to conserve, moderate, to say, hey, we're not going overboard. It's conservative. We're not doing that wild stuff anymore. We're not having people bash God because we want order. We want morality. We want families. We're not pushing women to be single. We're not pushing women to chase dollars because that's not their purpose. And we're not going to be afraid to say it. Conservatism is conservatism. It's what the founders intended this country to be. It means following the Constitution as it was written up. Not saying, oh, it's a living dark document and it needs to evolve. No, you need to evolve back to the Constitution. And stop running away from it, saying you love America. While you say, oh, well, this country's better than America, then go live there. And stop giving us problems. And stop trying to turn America into a third world crap hole. And on that note, this is your boy Ace Capone. As always, stay tuned for my next episode. I'm trying to do this every other day. We'll see what happens. I'm looking to turn over a new leaf this year and be a little more proactive. So until next time, Ace Capone, peace, and I'm gone.